still under construction, but when we do financial meetings and things, I'm just going to do it in here. That way it is away from the stables, everything else, so you guys can feel comfortable, you know, discussing finance, whatever. Because I know some people love just talking everything finance with their people. Some people prefer to just keep it obscured so no one feels weird. So just wanted to set this up for that. So anytime you need a meeting and you want it in a, you know, discreet location, we can just come here. All right, finances. So we're going to be, because things are broken out into your accrues, you're going to be reporting numbers to me of everyone who is under you. A lot of this is going to be the same way it has been handled if you've already been a captain. If you're a new captain, I mean, it won't be too hard. Most important thing is that I just need you to report things in accurately. That's all. Like Lang said, the crew cut is what it is. There's an additional 5%. So it used to be 50%. It's going to be 45% to the crew of everything that your crew earns. You hand that up. 5% of it will get calculated out of everything, and you will keep that for yourself. You can choose to pay that to yourself, or if you want to give bonuses to higher earners, redistribute, maybe pay for something that you want for your crew out of that 5%, whatever, totally, completely up to you, but that 5% is in your control, okay? Then the remainder, the 50%, again, for the most part, for almost everything, I'll explain the differences now after this, but that's going to be your control. Everyone is very used to me breaking down the finances thus far the same way every week, right? So almost all weed pushers know that if they push 100K, they're getting 40K in their pocket. It's a 40% payment to them. So just be aware that if you do change that percentage, because you are at liberty to change things around, they might know it, because several of them do call me if the number seems off and they go, hey, I pushed this much and I calculated and I should have gotten this. So I'm just letting you know now, if you do adjust it low and you're like, okay, I'm only going to give them 30%, let's say, and you're going to take 10 and you're just going to put it in your pocket. You can do that, but they're probably going to know. So I just want to make that clear. You can also put in a system like you want to take more of everyone's money, hold a subcrew fund, use that for certain expenses. Maybe everyone wants to put that toward, they want to build up a farm of some sort for Buttcoin, right? All these different things. You're at liberty to decide all of that. So what I'm going to do, I don't have it on hand right now because I'm fixing it up. I had to discuss some numbers with the Dons today. I'm going to give you all a worksheet that lets you go line by line through everything that people do. You're going to list all of your people, what they did, the money they made. The same way we usually report, I'm just going to give you an easy worksheet for it. And what you're going to do with that, you're going to report to me what they're getting paid out, what money's going where, etc. And you're just going to hand me a piece of paper at the end of the week on Friday. That's what it's going to be. There are certain things where you do not get to control it. Those will all be on the worksheet. That's why I have the worksheet, right? So you can separate out certain funds. But an example is weed growing. If you have weed pushers, and 50% of that, right? 45 to the crew, 5 to you. You don't get 50% and get to redistribute it between your pushers. Why? Because someone grew that weed and they are supposed to get 10%. If they're not in your crew, which they're not, we know it's steady, that needs to get handed to him, right? So there will be certain things that your people will do where you will need to hand money over to a different captain or to me to hand to that person. So for example, with the weed money that you make, you'll always calculate 10% of weed money, hand it to me, and I'll pay it out steady. And he distributes it to anyone who's growing weed, because that's just his responsibility for the crew and has been. I think the most complicated one, although it's not that complex, it's just there's 3 people involved, is moonshine. Someone is a farmer, and then someone is a cook, and then someone is a pusher, right? So you've got 3 steps there. That's 3 different splits that happen. You might have a cook in your crew, but someone else farmed their ingredients for them that's in another crew, and then they have someone from a different crew push. In cases like this, you're not going to decide what the people in other crews get paid. Their captain will decide that. So again, it'll be on the worksheet. It'll be easy, but you're going to calculate based off the percentages that I've got. Yeah, this is why I'm making the worksheet for you, because I don't want any like cross crew stuff to get mixed, complicated, and for someone to get over because the wrong captain kept all the money or something like that on accident.
Yeah, God
right?
bless you, Gigi. God bless you.
So you'll get to see the specific numbers with the worksheet later, but example right now, a farmer gets 15% of the end price of that crate that they farmed for. The cook gets 25, the pusher gets 10. If you have a pusher and they said, hey, I pushed this crate and got this amount of money, great, that's cool. If they're the end person reporting to you and they're depoting the money to you, you need to say, okay, who was the cook and who was the farmer, right? They have to keep track of all of that. Now, for the most part, the cooks are doing this because the cook's in the middle, right? They're taking in the ingredients, they're cooking, and then they're passing it off to a pusher. So it's almost always going to be the cook that's going to write it down and report it to their captain. But whoever that captain is, so Vito, for example, I believe you have Donnie, right? He keeps an itemized list. So far, I've been doing this, but he'll just hand it to you. He'll list out crates. He'll list out who farmed for them. You'll be able to see, like, you know, oh, 15K was pushed. This was the farmer for it. He cooked it, and these were the pushers for it, right? So you'll just mark it down on the worksheet and separate that out. And anything that should go to someone else, you're just going to report it up to me, and I'll redistribute. Thank you. So that's generally how that's going to work. I know it's a lot of, like, info dumping, but I'm keeping it as simple as possible. And again, you'll have a worksheet, so it won't be bad. Now, you can use that worksheet, fill out every little box, every little thing, and hand it to me at the end of the week. You can also, if you have a preferred way of bookkeeping, something that's a little different from how I do it, I don't care how you do it, so long as I get certain info reported in. So if you want to use a spreadsheet, right, that has like its own set of info on it, whatever, as long as I get the end results that I need that would be on the worksheet, you can send that to me at the end of the week too. It's all good. You could throw it in the computer, in the Mirror Park house, whatever, as long as I get the numbers that I need. But yeah, worksheet will be available for you to keep it easy. That is basically it. That is the gist. And I think only thing I didn't mention is the expenses will still be from the crew cut. So you will report to me anything. So this could be moonshine stills. Let's say you've got a moonshine cook. They buy 2 stills. It costs them $16,100. The crew covers that. So they'll tell you, hey, this week, this date, I bought it. You report that up to me at the end of the week with all your income as well. And then I'll pay that out to that person, right? So their kickback, whatever you want to give them, I'll also throw that money to you and go, hey, here's a list of money that I'm handing you and for what? For your expenses. So any expenses related to that kind of shit, you know, you could just tell me and we'll get that covered.
Is there a limit on that? Because, like, right now we go through
there isn't. There's no limit so long as you're making enough money to cover it. So if you are having people purchase stills, let's say they purchase 1 still, it's $80.50, right? And we cover that. And then they only produce 1 moonshine crate, which is $57.50 if it's max recipe. Obviously, I'm going to look at your numbers and look at your worksheet and go, no, right?
Yeah,
and it's on you guys, obviously. Yeah, you could tell your own guy to off. You don't even have to report the expense up to me if you think it's stupid, right? You can tell your own guy to buy it first. But if they're able to produce enough that the crew cut is over that $80.50, then yeah, we'll expense it, right? That's all good. Obviously, they're doing a shit job if they're not making at least 20K a week in moonshine. But you know, just as an example. But yeah, as long as you're making money, right? You spend money to make money, kind of thing. It's all good. Any questions? Anything else? Any thoughts? Suggestions are fine too.
So overall, what you're saying is, if we hit the bare minimum, the 300,000.
Yeah.
What was the math on that? What's coming back?
So that's your total earnings. Like 100% of all the money your people depot has to add up to 300K. So 45% of that gets kept by the crew, 5% of that kept by you, etc., and then the rest redistributed.
Gotcha.
So your earnings, not your profit, your earnings need to be 300K. That being said, if you want to earn over, that's great. We want that, obviously. If you're coasting, it's going to get noticed. You're going to hand me a worksheet, so I'm going to see finances and breakdowns, whatever, you know, like it is what it is. Like Lang was saying, we are trying to positively reinforce anyone who's doing well. If your guys are killing it and we take our crew cut and we buy a new warehouse and we're like, let's make it a farm, and you say, hey, I want a moonshine up, like I want to get more farming done because this warehouse can only produce X amount, Okay, well, if you're the top earning crew, you're most likely to get some space in there to be farming. Let's say something new comes out and it requires a warehouse, right? And you're like, oh, I really want to do this thing. I need a warehouse. Well, if you've been earning the highest and you want to start up a thing doing that, you're most likely to get it, assuming we don't already have, like, something set up for it. So that is just generally how that's going to work. And like he said, again, he wants to separate Cypress into little regions so that you can have buildings and operations very close to each other that you control to keep your day-to-day very simple. When you pick those locations as we buy properties, again, you'll get priority on that if you're a highest earning crew, etc., etc. Any little thing. It could even be like you could request, hey, we've been doing great, can we get a job car? Stuff like that. So anything you can think of, just keep in mind, if you really want it, you might just be able to get it if you're earning well. So that's kind of the incentive there. And it's preferably stuff for your whole crew, right? A warehouse, a car, or whatever.
Okay, I have a question on a whole different topic, but it is related to crew earnings and all that.
Yeah,
So
go right ahead.
we also we can make quite a bit of money doing things like robbing a laundromat or robbing a cash exchange, and hopefully getting to a point of robbing a maze bank.
Heists are included, right?
Right. So the way we've been doing it so far is that we've had a night crew that is, I think, currently, actually, all of it is split between Sakura and myself at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we rotate people in and out depending on experience and depending on who's around even as well. So how is that going to work then if we do like heists between different crew members?
Okay, it's simple. It's the way I already do the payouts for main heist crew. It just, the difference is maybe who they reported to. So let's say one of you is setting it up, right? Let's say Sakura is like working on getting a crew together to do a thing. They're going to report to you after the heist. They're going to say, I made this amount total, and here's the number, here's the list of names, right? These 6 people were on it. So if you see 100K got out of that heist, and then there were 6 people, that is what? You would do half of that. Well, technically, since you're captain, it would be 45%. So 100K, 45K would go to the crew. 5K would go straight to you as the captain who was setting that heist crew up, regardless of who was doing it. And then from there, your people, whoever's names are on there, they'll each get one, assuming it was 6 people, 1/6 of that remaining 50% written down in their name, and that goes into the earnings for your crew. It'll be on the worksheet as well. So the thing that I was thinking of changing about what I just said was the 5% going to the person who organized it. I'm thinking instead we just don't write down the 5% at all. It'll get taken out of your people's earnings. I'll be able to calculate it off of that, an additional 5% of whatever they earn. So let's say 3 of your guys on there, they earned 10K between all of them because the split out just happened to be that nice round number. 5% of that gets thrown at the captain, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like on top of it, taken out of the crew cut. So I'll have to back calculate a little bit, but if you do it on the worksheet, it'll be easy. So no matter who's in charge, no matter which captain is doing it and who's writing down what, all you need to do is just write down, here's the total amount, here are the names, and I'll know who's in what crew and I can separate it out. So you don't have to worry about attributing it to the right crew or, anything like that.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Another topic also related, Buttcoin.
Yes.
Is this being factored into any of this? Because these jobs do take Buttcoin, and we have separate farms and things like that. So
that's a separate thing that I'm trying to talk to the Dons about. I wanted to get to, but some people had to go sleep, etc. I'm gonna try and get them this week to figure that out. There are a few options of the way things can be done, and I just don't know which one they want. Do they want a total amount, everything pooled together, and one person is taking inventory and doling it out? Do they want everyone focusing on having their own separate farm, and then if they want to request from the main farm, they put in a request? There are multiple ways it could be done, and I'm not sure which they want. So I'm going to try and figure that out for you this week, because one of the things that's very easy to happen is it's very easy for people to overspend, right? They're just kind of thinking about, okay, well, I'm always running this thing with my people, so I'm going to keep running this, and they keep spending on it. And then a lot of you might not know what the main heist crew does, because a lot of those people are dons and, above, or, people above where you are, or they're specialists, right? Octo and they're not even on your lists. They're just people you could hire in for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
you would have no idea what they're doing, right? So unless you're on that heist crew yourself. So I want to make sure that, personally, I think the best thing is someone is in charge, the same way I'm in charge of finance, or maybe it's me, I don't know. Someone's in charge of inventory for Buttcoin, and knowing a mix of our personal inventory for the main crew versus any sub crews or individuals that have their own farms, and just kind of starting to, you know, dole it out from there in a way that's a bit even. Because I just don't want one crew to run things, get approved because they're first come, first serve, and then other people get dicked because they just, like, didn't ask fast enough or something like that.
I think I want to just suggest what I suggested to Clark with
Mhm.
when we and Vito when we were all met up.
Yeah.
I think as captains we should just aim for our own farms.
I agree.
And just
Yeah.
just utilize that for the long haul because we never know what's coming.
I fully
Jobs,
agree
we gotta
because, you know, I don't know how much you guys have looked at any of the later stuff, any of these heists that are more recent, but they get really expensive. And whatever the next thing is, it's going to be even more expensive. It's going to be like 2,000 Buttcoin or some shit. You know, like you can just tell it's going to be crazy. So I do agree it's in your best interest to have your own farms if you can. If you've got anyone in your sub crew that has a farm already, you know, talk to them, figure out what you want to do. Obviously, if they own it, it's theirs, so you got to discuss. But yeah, I think one of the things you can do, for example, so you know you can like adjust the cuts down. You could say, hey guys, let's do a project to fund a farm. I'm going to take an extra 5% of what all of you should be making off the top. You don't keep that, and I'm going to put it into a farm expense, right? Things like that. You could do however you want with that, but it could be done. You could even say, guys, you're gonna do one Sandy run a day. Don't care who does it, we're gonna get one run a day done, minimum, right?
I'll
Stuff
give
like
you guys
that.
suggestions what I do with my crew.
Mm-hmm.
So last week they did 6 jobs.
Right.
Jobs 1, 2, 3, and 5 were all laundromats.
Right.
Let them split them evenly. The 2 cash exchanges, which was 2 numbers I missed out on right there.
Mm-hmm.
We kept for our Buttcoin farm.
Right.
So that's just how we do some things just to make it less pressure, but still people are still getting paid.
Exactly. Yeah, it's up to you guys to kind of organize, manage that. Anything that is the crew's main farm, whenever there's some sort of big new heist, the main heist crew is going to get that prioritized to them. So if you just want to help us choose that farm and request Buttcoin from us, you could do that, but just be aware, you know, it's gonna go to whatever heist is being basically R&D'd in that moment. So if you do have your own farm, you do have the chance to, you know, just keep something, no matter what, kept for your people. But I will discuss with the Dons their thoughts on doing that. If they do want to say, we're pooling it and then we're having someone split it evenly, you know, or whatever. I'll figure that out for you. Because, yeah, on Buttcoin, I know, that's why I want to figure out if there's a good way to do it.
Easy enough. Makes sense to me.
Yep.
So then, you know, all the computer notes and all that, we're just staying away from that entirely then, correct?
I think for this week, keep it the same.
Okay.
Just in case, just as we adjust and I make sure that I get that sheet to you in time, because I know a lot of you guys tend to note things down in the computer as you go.
Yeah.
If any of you do not currently note things down in the Mirror Park computer, I would encourage...
I cannot.
Yes.
I don't have keys.
Exactly. I would encourage you to get shown that. I can actually bring you there and show you what we do so you know how things are marked down. I could also just write it in a notebook, the template, so you know what needs to be reported for the week. But midweek, I should be giving you that worksheet. You shouldn't have to worry about it too much. Just if your people come to you and say, hey, I sold 300 bags of weed for this amount of money, just write it down somewhere. For now.
I showed her how we do it. I was able to give her my keys so she could access the computer, but she just doesn't have access to the panel, so I don't think she can do it on her own, you know?
Yeah. That should be fine. All that matters is that I get the numbers from you. The computer, I mean, no one else looks at that. It's just me. So if you don't mark it down in there, you just mark it on your own notes, that's totally fine. You could just come to me on Friday, and we could sit around and talk about it, and I'll take the numbers from you. You could write it in a notebook and hand it to me, you know, whatever.
So with that, Friday part, right? Usually I'm like not around Fridays, and then
Yes.
Monday I usually get you my information. I can get it to you Thursday if that works better.
That is
But
totally fine by me. Yeah, I do it the way I do just because a lot of people are around weekdays and not as much weekends. So we get everything by Friday, and then over the weekend I do any number crunching I gotta do, and then Monday I'm writing stuff down in books for people so they can pay their people back out.
Yeah.
And just making sure that's all separated. So yeah, if you're not around Friday, that is okay. You can appoint somebody if you want who can give me that information on Friday. So if there's money taken in on Friday to kind of add to your worksheet, you're totally welcome to give someone else access to update that worksheet for you and then hand it to me. But that's up to you. Make sure it's someone's trusted. And I want to give a word to all of you on this. When it comes to finances, one of the reasons why I'm always doing this is because I'm really impartial on money. If I love someone to death, but I'm looking at the way things are balanced, I'm going, it shouldn't be balanced this way, and I know that person will get paid less, I'm still going to bring it up, right? It's just about keeping it logical and about the money and about what makes sense. A lot of people, when they're given access to bookkeeping, they get weird. They get weird because they see what other people are making. They start looking for greener pastures. Sometimes most of the time, they're not good at analyzing the data that they're seeing. They just see big number good. And it just starts affecting how they work, what they do, where they're turning their attention toward, and that sort of thing. So if you're going to hand someone the form and you're going to let someone else, help you with bookkeeping, just make sure it's not someone who's going to have emotion play into it. They're not going to look at it and get weird in any way. I don't know how else to describe it, but it happens all the time. So just be careful with that. But you're welcome to assign whomever you want to it.
You say you usually give the information on Mondays, right?
I give it back to you guys on Monday, yeah. So
that's Monday today. Is that often a day I'm around? Are you around on like a Tuesday middle week?
Okay, yeah. If you're not around on Monday, so my goal is, as far as logistics go on me giving you these numbers, I'm going to try and have it so that I don't know if it'll be in the stables or elsewhere, probably stables. There will be a mailbox for each of you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a notebook in that mailbox and a pile of money. And it will be a notebook that gives you a breakdown. Like, here's the money that is clean that you've gotten back for all your efforts. Here's some extra. This pile is for some expenses that you've gotten back. And then, one of your guys pushed a crate from someone else's crew. Here's that money for that, right? Just a little breakdown of your income. And I'll leave it there. So if you're not around Monday, it should still be there Monday. So your people can kind of rest assured as soon as you're around, you pay it out to them. If that's an issue, if they're really down bad on money, they can't buy things and you not being there Monday is killing them, I don't know why they're so broke, if I'm being honest. Like, if you can't afford a radio on Monday, you know what I mean? So it should be okay if you delay it a day because you're not around. They're on your time. You're the captain, So just tell them, hey, go do a grind run if you need it that badly. At the end of the day, they'll get their money. No one's going to hold that shit from them,
Understood.
Yeah. Anything else? Any thoughts?
Nothing at the moment.
No, I'm looking forward to that worksheet.
Okay. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I'm going to set up for you. It's going to be a no-brainer. Go down line by line, fill it out, and you're good kind of thing.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you all.
Thank you for putting all this together, Gigi,
Yeah,
by the way.
appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Gigi.
Appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Just fill things out so my life is kept easy, and if you make my life harder, you will die.
Fair enough.
Understood.
Thank you.
And speaking of the keys to Impart, I have been trying to reach Speedy for basically 3 days.
Yes. He has to contact somebody to put you on the panel. I will keep this in mind, and every time I see him, I will bother him about it. Keep doing it. It's not him who's entering you on the panel, it's someone else, so he has to just get them to wake up and do it.
Okay.
If you need the key itself cut, like you need the physical key, I could just do that for you anytime.
No, I have that. It's just
Okay.
most of the access.
It's just the panel. Okay, got it, yeah. Text me your state ID, and I will leave a note in a spot for the person who should be doing that so that they have it. Thank you, thank you. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I'll forward it and just make sure that happens as soon as possible. But yeah,
Easy.
should be good.
Can you unlock the door for us, Gigi?
Alright.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Is this the way out now?
I guess so. That's the good one.
Yeah, well, I'll get stairs in here one day.